At 6 games in single digits. This isn't just like another dude in your rotation. This is a guy that you are counting on to provide on a bad night, 15 if he has an off shooting night, and capable of erupting, for 25 and up if he really gets it going. And he has been completely 15 if he has an off shooting night, and capable of erupting, for 25 and up if he really gets it going. And he has been completely non-existent in the last 3 games in this series. Hasn't made a 3-point shot in the last 3 games. And here's the other thing. It's one thing if you say, well, guy's struggling with his offense, right? He can't find his shooting right now. Well, at least he can go dig into guys and guard and help us on that end of the floor. He's almost not playable defensively because he loses concentration. He doesn't really have a lot of will or want to on that end of the floor anyway. We know that even when he's playing well. We overlook it because he's putting up numbers and he's helping you in tight.
Every game for us is another opportunity for us to experience something that we just haven't had as a group. We're a relatively young group, and you look at the teams in the postseason besides us. I mean, you got Phoenix. They added a couple new guys, but their team kind of been assembled for the last few years. Obviously, Denver's been together for years. Miami, New York. We're Golden State. So we're every game for us throughout this postseason has been an opportunity for us to grow and see how we can be better. So tonight was another moment, and whenever Game 5 is, it'll be another opportunity for us to continue to grow as a ball club.
Now, the Lakers are in the driver's seat of a berth to the Western Conference Finals with their win last night, and the odds are in their favor to do so. Out of 277 3-1 leads in NBA playoff history, only 13 teams have come back to win, one of those being Steve Kerr's Warriors against the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2016. Now, Tim Legler joins us, and so, Tim, I'm going to start with you. Who would you say is letting Steph down more, Clay or Poole?
I didn't even hesitate on this one. I'm surprised this is even a debate. I mean, I don't think it's even up for consideration. It's Jordan Poole, and it's by a mile. And here's why. Relative to what you can reasonably expect from a player based on their body of work, he is so far beneath what he has.
Disappointing than even somebody who may have produced in the past but doesn't have that long history to lean on. That's all I'm trying to say. But having said that, I'll stand down on Clay because I want to spend my time talking about Jordan Poole. I'm about to say something that's very, very unpopular. Some would label it incendiary. But I'm to seriously take into account. I'm going to preface my comments by saying, under no circumstances do we condone violence. We don't want it. We don't like it. We don't support it. We condemn it at every turn. We should. But I will tell you, as watching this series, all of a sudden, there's an elevated level of clarity that's kicking in as to why that incident happened with him and Draymond Green. I'm not talking stats. I'm not talking basketball. I'm talking attitude. This brother, Jordan Poole, and I'm going to tell you this last night because they were talking about him not talking to you. He had his back turned to the media. People had to turn down the music. Everybody was paying rapt attention to what he had to say. He was dismissive. He had this attitude, all of this other stuff. That's what they've been saying about him, right? He signs a 4-year, $123 million deal or $128 million.
In the postseason a year ago. He's disappeared. And I actually think what happened to him at the end of Game 1 when he missed that shot, and look, you can debate all day long if you think it's a good shot, bad decision, good decision, whatever. The reaction to it almost universally has been condemnation, right? So he's a guy now, and he's hearing it. And I don't care what guys say about tuning stuff out. You hear the chatter, and you feel the vibe in the locker room. There was a lot of disappointment over that. For whatever reason, it has rattled him to an extent. He has not shown up in the last 3 games, and you can't play him regardless because he's not helping you on the other end. He's actually a major liability defensively. So to me, this isn't even a debatable question. Jordan Poole by far has let Steph Curry down more and let the Warriors down more because he has not inserted himself in this series at all beyond Game 1.
You know, J.J. Redick said similar thoughts just a few minutes ago. We recognize this.
Why
okay?
do you have to say my full name every time? I don't call you Stephen A. Smith. Why do you have to use my full name?
My bad.
every time?
Actually, I like that. JJ Brady is a smooth name. I mean, it's
ring to
not, it's smooth. It's got a ring to it, bro. I mean, you just
Branding
feel me there.
purposes. It's branding purposes. Yeah,
How about that? Stay with it. What you want me to call your old man in the three? That what you want me to do? Trust me, JJ is flyer. Trust me on this, okay? Even though that's a damn good podcast. Here's the deal, y'all. I only went with Clay because I'm talking to him about expectations based on history. Just old reliable. You know, when I sit up there and I'm talking basketball with JJ, he's acting that way because he got his bag. And because he got his bag, he thinks he's entitled, that he doesn't have to do what it took to get that bag to begin with. Now, you might fight it. You might be a little bit reluctant or hesitant to embrace what I'm saying, but I know the integrity JJ has when it comes to what the game is supposed to mean to you and the effort that you're supposed to put forth. And when you're struggling, there's a certain way that you're supposed to conduct yourself. He ain't just alienating the media. He's alienating that locker room. JJ, you call games. Tim Legler, you covered this league for years. Call him and find out. Talk to the Golden State Warriors. He ain't the same. He's been acting different. And now chickens have come home to roost because you in the postseason and you playing like hot garbage, playing like straight garbage. You look like trash. It's awful how he has been playing. 8 points or fewer in 5 of the last postseason games. Okay, literally half field goal percentage down, 3-point shooting percentage down. As a result, his minutes are down, and he's pouting and whining and just has an off-putting kind of attitude. Talk to the Golden State Warriors. Everybody sees what's going on, and I'm making the declaration. If he were looking for his bag, there's no way he's acting like this. But because he got his bag, all of a sudden, the obvious decisions that Steve Kerr has to make because he's trying to win a playoff series, okay? He has to make these decisions, and Jordan Poole's attitude looks just as bad as his game. It's very evident, and I'm going to leave it at that.
I'm surprised you needed 9 months to get clarity on the issue of entitlement and attitude in reference to the incident. Like, to me, that was agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you on that. Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
I think it was. I mean, it was obvious to me. I would say that.
Okay.
You see on Twitter all the time, like in reference to players or politics, it's like the word unserious, right? Or not a serious player, not a serious argument, whatever. This is unserious. And like I see that a lot with Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole is an unserious player. Jordan Poole is not a serious player. And I think there's some validity to that. I really do. I'm not here to like just completely bag on the guy because I do respect his game. I do respect actually the body of work prior to this year's playoffs.
So do I.
I made the argument, you know, essentially defending Clay to an extent that by putting the ball in Steph Curry's hands, it takes Clay out of that off-the-ball rhythm. They're not getting as many looks for him in rhythm, so he's having to run off pin downs with 2 guys chasing him and shoot followaways. Like, I get it as in the Lakers defense, but the other part of the reason that they've had to put Steph Curry on the ball, Jordan Poole is supposed to be the guy that creates on the ball for them. That's what he has been over the last 2 seasons. So if you're not getting that production, it puts more on Steph Curry. It puts more on Klay Thompson. So, yeah, I'm disappointed because I do think he's capable. He's shown he's off run, how capable he is of contributing to winning basketball. And we're just not seeing that at all right now. And the other point I want to make, Stephen A., is I've seen that before as a teammate, which you referenced into guys getting their bags and then becoming less serious about the game. I think it applies here. I do.
I appreciate that. I really, really do. Thank you very much because I'm dead serious about it. And again, we're not advocating anything. Draymond was wrong to do what he did.
100%.
And it started. He was 100% wrong, and nobody is saying otherwise. But when it happened, it was so obvious to a lot of people. And I'm saying the clarity has really, really kicked in because of the behavior we're seeing from him the second things don't go his way. And my point is, when you didn't have the money, there's no way you would have acted that way because there's no way in hell you would have got the money. But I'm going to tell y'all something right now. Covering this league as long as I have, I know a few owners, and there's very few I know more than Joe Lacob. And I can tell you right now, that kind of stuff ain't going to be tolerated. This dude is as close to George Steinbrenner as I've ever, the late, great Yankees owner George Steinbrenner, that I've come across. He might not like that comparison. He'll get over it. It's a compliment coming from me because I loved George Steinbrenner as a Yankee fan. I'm telling you right now, this man don't play. And when you see stuff like this and what has been transpiring, you can bet the house. Book it. Change is coming to the Golden State Warriors. He's this kind of stuff. And Jordan Poole is a problem. And it ain't because of his game. It's because of the attitude. It's affected his game. Because even though he's wearing the same uniform and traveling with the team and being in the same hotel rooms and on the bus, he don't feel like a part of it. Okay? He's distant from the rest of the guys because his agenda ain't what their agenda is. And they know it. Trust me on that. This is a problem.
Well, Tim, I'm gonna bring you in on this. Does any of this surprise you with the Warriors?
Surprising. A couple things that surprised me about this team in general. One of the reasons I picked the Lakers team, and they're still, obviously you can't dismiss them because of who they are. But imagine if that had happened. If those guys had developed the way that we thought they could to be major contributors in their rotation right now, we would look at this team a lot differently because we talk so much about depth with these other teams. That
real quick, because I did expect more from Moody and Kuminga this year based on what they were telling us about their development. Has that thrown you off to some degree, JJ? Did you expect more from them?
Well, I'll say this. I think that's a real challenge as a coach. The idea of winning now and allowing young players to play through mistakes. I also think specifically with the Warriors, it's a unique system. And it requires a lot of headiness. And it requires a lot of intellect and a lot of feel. And these guys, Wiseman in particular and Kuminga in particular, haven't had a chance to play enough to get that feel. So it's you're kind of stuck there, right? And you think about the depth in particular. They missed out on Gary Payton. They lost him in free agency. They had to go get him and accept the trade, even though he was hurt in the trade. That's how badly they needed those connectors. Iguodala being older, not being able to play every night, then gets hurt. Group with a younger group, the win now mentality versus development. It's a challenge for a lot of coaches, to be honest.
Yeah, and they're now down 3-1 to a team that had just 3% chance of making it to the playoffs. But we got to take a quick break. Coming up, Stephen A. is ready to go ballistic.
Last year, in the postseason run in 20-plus playoff games, he averaged 17 points a game and shot 50% from the field in the postseason for a team that won a championship.